female plugs, Kanye shrug, hitting numbers that matter.
Thanks for tuning to the Black Fathers Initiative of Cleveland. Really appreciate the love. Make sure you guys click the like button, subscribe. And I'm going to keep dropping this material for you guys. First and foremost, just want to thank you guys for the 1,000 subscribers that subscribe to the channel. I know the channel was pretty much audio, but I was just pretty much getting up the courage to start, talking and seeing about reviewing, as well as, when you start hearing people like, man, you should go ahead and put a review up and you should start reviewing the stuff too. And so, I'm just pretty much taking some constructive criticism from people and putting some information out there. But once again, this page is pretty much about Black empowerment. And we talk about a lot of Black issues. Everything here is Black. But first off, we try to talk about issues going on in the Black community, with relationships, with women, with men, as well as, just things going on in the Black community, period, with our young men, as well as we have different interviews on here from Dr. Umar to Sister Ali, Kevin Samuels, who else? Frances Cress Welsing, I believe that's her name, and more. I have a few podcasts on her. I think her name is Courtney Michelle. I think the Sister Ali one that I did, she was the interviewer on that one. But I believe I did tag her, or I did put her name in the description and everything. If not, I'm gonna have to go back and look at that. But yeah, so I just try to give some enlightenment to everybody who watches the channel, who's interested in, bettering our community. The Black Fathers Initiative of Cleveland, pretty much what we do is, we're a nonprofit organization in Cleveland, trying, pretty much helping young men as well as women be more successful and monetize. And our focus is to help them monetize their hustles. So, our mentality is to get in there and teach kids how to be financially literate, how to start businesses, how to, work with customers, customer service, how to talk to people, just really mentorship in business, but as well as mentorship in life as well. Because we also know a lot of, unfortunately, in our community, there's a lack of fathers in the home. So I'm a father of two, so, I have some opinions on fatherhood and some of the things that they speak about on fatherhood, as well as I have some opinions on, dating, because I'm single, so I'm dating. I'm not married, so I definitely have a lot of opinions on a lot of things that Kevin Samuel says and a lot of things that other people say. So yeah, so that's why I'm here. That's why the channel is here. Once again, I appreciate the love. We're going to keep it going, and I'm just going to keep dropping just like I was dropping before. Nothing's going to change. You're just going to see my face at the bottom of the screen. So let's get to it. So this is Dr. Umar talking about some things with the LGBTQ community. So let's check this out.
Thursday, I'm straight. Today is Thursday.
What do you mean you straight? Today is Thursday, brother? Be honest with me, brother. Are you straight? Are you gay? What?
I really want to solve a problem.
With the Malcolm X
He wants
photo?
to solve a problem.
Yeah, what's going on?
All right. Are you homosexual, bisexual, trans woman, or heterosexual?
Yo, your question, and I know your intentions is to not be disrespectful. So as somebody in the community, I will say
Somebody in what community?
In the queer community, that
Okay.
your approach is a bit harsh in
Okay.
terms of your language.
Okay, so let me ask you a question, because I'm here to be educated, my brother.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, I'm here to be educated, and we're here to educate you guys as well. And of course, we all coming in the spirit of respect. Now, when I ask people
Facts.
if they are lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgendered, or heterosexual, I'm asking that so I can understand their personal frame of reference. So, for example, last night's conversation was about light skin supremacy and dark skin supremacy in the Black community. So everyone who came on, I asked them, are you light skin, brown skin, dark skin, or mixed race? So I need you to explain to me, my brother, when I ask you, are you homosexual, bisexual, trans woman, or heterosexual, why is that considered harsh?
Because that language is for you. I said I'm in the queer community. So that
Okay, so how does, and again, I want you to educate me. You're in the queer community. How does queer differ from homosexual, bisexual, trans woman? Queer means what? Educate me.
just in the community. I mean, you would really have to sit down and you ain't you're trying to talk political, so I'm trying to talk politics too.
Okay.
I'm just
well, tell me what it means to you to be queer. Because when you say you're queer, you're saying that you're not. Are you saying that you are or you are not homosexual, bisexual, or trans woman? When you say
I
queer,
am not straight.
okay, you're not straight. Stay with me, okay? Because I'm learning. You're not. Stay with me.
I am.
Okay, you're not straight. I got that part. You're not homosexual either. Is that correct?
Yeah, see, that's where it's funny, because I'm sure when you say homosexual, you're talking about two cis men, right? Two gay men.
No. When I say homosexual, for me, a man having romantic interactions with another man is homosexuality. So you do not have relations with other men.
No, I don't.
Okay, so you're not homosexual, so which automatically means you can't be bisexual, right? Because if you don't have relations with men, you're not bisexual either. You're not a trans woman. So help me out, my brother. You see me trying to get some clarity from you. What does queer mean? That means your sex is what? What do you do? What is queer? We trying to learn from y'all now. Y'all can't get upset at us, and we trying to understand you. What is queer?
Yeah, so you're trying to understand, right?
Queer, yes. What does queer? You said you're queer. What does...
You're trying to understand what I do in the bedroom or what my political ideology is?
Both. What does queer mean? Sexually, what is a queer? I would like to know that. And politically, where do you stand?
So queer by definition means weird and has been, reclaimed to an extent politically and socially and culturally by the quote-unquote non-heterosexual community, because there's lots of labels and ways in which people identify. It's not very stringent as the quote-unquote LGBTQ alphabet, but queer just means pretty much outside of the norms, outside
queer
of the
means
stringent,
odd, or
Okay.
it can mean something sexual, but it means
relations.
odd. Queer is strange, odd.
Okay. Question for you. So you could be...
So we know what
could
is strange or
engage
odd.
in homosexual relations as a queer person, correct?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. So queer is you're not choosing any specific. You're not choosing homosexual. You're not choosing bisexual. You're just queer. You're outside of the heterosexual dichotomy.
Absolutely.
I got you.
That's a pretty good intro.
Okay. Now let me ask you this. I assumed by your voice that you were born a biological male. Was I correct in that assumption?
I would probably stay away from assumptions.
Well, no. Well, what were you born? Were you born biologically
Bro.
a man or a woman?
I also would challenge this idea that those are the only two options, but we haven't gotten to the politics. So we going right to the politics. But can I get some clarity on that though, my brother? Because again, y'all cannot be hypocritical. And what I mean by that, when we're trying to understand you, now we might forever disagree, but I at least want to understand you. There's people who disagree with me, but I at least want them to understand me. I don't care if they disagree with me, but I want them to understand what they're disagreeing with. I don't want them disagree with me for what I really stand for, not for what you think. So when you just said you would disagree that man and woman are not the only two gender options at birth, could you give me some additional gender assignments that can occur at birth? Because I thought you could only be born a man or a woman. So how else can you come out of your mother at birth?
So I don't understand this guy. I wish that hopefully as the conversation goes on, the guy starts, really talks. I mean, at this point in time, man, it just sounds like he just called in to be a nuisance, honestly. But we'll keep going. But yes, queer, I literally looked it up, and the first thing that comes up is odd, strange. Now, I know there's other definitions for it, of course, because if you go under it, it says denoting or related to a sexual gender identity that does not correspond to established ideas of sexuality and gender, especially heterosexual norms. Okay? But that's the second definition. The first definition is strange and odd. That's how I know the word queer. Like whenever I heard the word, like when I first heard the word queer, that's the first thing came to my mind was strange or odd, because that's the only definition I knew of queer until, people start claiming they were queer. So, but yeah, that's what queer means. But of course he has his own, of course he's going by the second definition, so he's not strange or odd. He just doesn't identify with any sexuality, which is strange and odd.
Well, firstly, you were born a baby. Secondly, as it regards your sex, there are also intersex individuals who are anywhere, and it is a spectrum in terms of your biological or your physical makeup, whether that's your secondary sex characteristics, your hormonal levels, your genitalia, all of these things.
I understand. Some folks are born. Some folks are born different. What were you born?
Okay.
What were you born?
I was assigned female at birth.
Okay, you were assigned female at birth. And how do you? I know you mentioned queer. Now, is queer sexual orientation, or is queer also a gender?
But it's funny how you say assigned. That was what you was assigned at birth. No, you were born with female genitalia. Did nobody assign that genitalia to you? You were born with that genitalia. So, I don't know. I'm a little lost with that. Like, you were born a girl. The reason we know you were born a girl is because you were born with girl traits and girl physical attributes. It gets confusing sometimes.
Preference.
Yeah.
It's both.
It's all the above.
It's all of the above. Okay, so when you say you're queer, you're not assuming man and woman, and you're not assuming any particular sexual orientation.
Facts.
Got you. Thank you for that education. Give me your politics, my brother. What is it that the heterosexual black community needs to understand about you in particular and the black LGBT movement in general? Give us some political positions.
The first thing black people need to understand is that the experience of black people is their primary experience, period.
Okay.
They're just like you cannot choose to be heterosexual before you choose to be black, right? If that is a choice you make,
okay,
you are seen as black before anybody knows what you got going on.
I agree.
The blackness is just the experience. So I think it is, even though it may not be intended to be disrespectful, to ask somebody if they're gay first or if they are black first, it is a facetious point at this point.
I don't think it's facetious though, my brother. And the reason excuse me, my sister, the reason I'm saying that, and I want your response, is because a lot of black LGBTQs, they wave that flag, and they only come out to protest or stand up when it involves the sexual agenda. You don't see them when it involves regular black issues. I'm not talking about all of y'all, but I don't think you can call it facetious. We cannot assume that black LGBTs feel that they are black first, because I've heard black LGBTs say that they were not black first, I've heard some say they were gay first or queer first. I've had others say that they were both. So not everybody in your community, good sister, assumes black first.
Out of respect, Prince.
Yes.
I'm gonna keep it to a strict he, him pronoun on this stage.
Okay, I got you.
Make things super simple.
Okay.
And I hear what you're saying. I would urge like people in the crowd, yourself included, to do a little bit of digging, because there are quite a few queer, homosexual, gay, whatever you want to call them, leading figures in terms of black liberation politics.
Oh, I agree with that. I agree with that, but
And so,
don't confuse the individuals with the group, though. You understand?
no,
That's just like saying you know a couple gangster rappers who don't spew misogyny in their music, or you know a couple gangster rappers who don't promote light skin supremacy. Just because you might know a couple rappers who don't use profanity in their music, the truth of the matter is the hip hop genre, you understand, is a very skin color prejudiced community. You understand? So you can't say just because a few people are looking out for the whole black community, that means the whole LGBT family is looking out for the whole black community. Do you understand where I'm coming from?
Facts.
I mean, I can say that for any particular demographic within the black community.
I agree with that.
Particularly, and I think you would agree with this also, particularly heterosexual black men.
What about them?
I find that a lot of these protests to protect black men from police brutality have been led by black women and black queer folk. And that's just being present at them. I also think that it is it's difficult to think that people are choosing their sexuality first. I mean, when people
I just want to speak on, when he says that there are LGBTQ people at the forefront of these protests and things of that nature. I agree with him 100%. I'm quite sure there are, LGBTQ community people at the forefront of these movements and these protests. But I just feel like what Dr. Umar was saying was just don't get it twisted like, everybody's there. Because unfortunately they're not. Because like he just said, there are some people who feel like they are, gay first and not black. They identify with their gayness before they identify with their blackness. So you definitely can't deny that. But I totally do understand. I totally do see, where the young man is coming from, stating that, black men probably should be more, black heterosexual men should be more at the forefront, okay? And I agree with him 100%. But I will say that it is easier for a black woman or a gay black man to get into places and positions than it is a heterosexual black man. Black man like myself, I probably wouldn't be able to get in like this. I would have to probably shave. If I shaved, clean cut, goatee, little mustache, then I may be able to slide past as the good Negro, okay? But a lot of times, if you looking like this, and you looking, if you look pro-black, like you on some militant shit, or like you trying to grow dreads, yeah, they like, nah, nigga, we gonna stop you before you even try to start anything. So that's why I'm saying it's easier for a black woman or a gay man to get out here and yell and scream and cause a commotion, because they won't shoot you down like they'll shoot us down.
Choose to ascend in terms of class to lead the majority of black people and exploit the majority of black population. You're Pan-African, right?
Yes.
Right, and so we understand that, class exploitation is extremely prevalent, especially globally when it comes to black bodies, right?
True. Racism is worse, though.
Right. So what do you think that not the new house Negroes, but the continued house Negroes are those who are actually sitting in the house with the white people? Class-wise.
Okay. If they're sitting in the house with the white people, the question becomes, are they advocating for us, or are they simply there to collaborate with the oppressor?
Are they?
I don't know. Who are we speaking of?
I mean, I would say roughly, I don't believe that there is a middle class, so I won't even address those who were making under $1 million or so dollars a year. But those who have ascended past that marker of middle class status, what do you think that do you not think that
most of them are lined up with the white power structure? Most of them are lined up with the white power structure.
So I would say, in terms of my politic, that anti-capitalism is primary in terms of protecting black people globally.
Anti-racism, queen. Anti-racism.
I also...
You follow me? There would be no classism without the racism. White supremacy invented capitalism. Capitalism didn't invent white supremacy. Let me ask you this. If you take away class, do you still have racism?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So racism is the issue. In other words, let's destroy racism and its capitalist child.
Okay, so I would say that capitalism as a mode, as a global mode, was born out of the transatlantic slave trade, was born out of white supremacist ideology, etc. It is racialized capitalism. There is no separate. So when I say capitalism, I'm insinuating the inherency of racial and white supremacist ideology embedded in that.
What is your position on the black LGBT community uniting with and integrating with the white LGBT community? Where are you on that? Are you an LGBTQ integrationist? Are you a nationalist? Do you believe y'all should fight your own fight separate from the whites?
No, I'm pro-black, and I would urge the rest of black people to hop on that bandwagon to protect all black people, regardless of if they are cis heterosexual men or any of the other bodies who are typically experiencing intracommunal violence from cis heterosexual men. But yeah, so no, I think that the only people who are the closest that we can even get to in terms of like the house Negroes or the weakest links or the people who are exploiting us the most are actually straight and are actually men, because they are able to ascend in this patriarchal society in particular ways, whether you want to look at statistics, whether you want to look at intracommunal violence, whether you want to, whatever you want to look at.
Okay,
right? I don't think
are you talking about straight black men? You're not saying straight black men are the culprits, are you?
Culprits of what?
Of what you just spoke of, those ills, the exploitation and all of that, because black men...
So I made two different points. I said that one, if we're going to talk about people who are quote unquote in the house Negroes, right, are the people who are able to ascend most and even participate in the exploitation of, right, the quote unquote field niggas, right? And so that has to do with class. That also has to do with the fact that we live under patriarchy, right? So that also has to do with the fact that you have men. But
he was going. So it's about to be a part 2. So just tune in. You already know www.blackfathersofcleveland.com. And we're going to get right back to the conversation with the young queer guy.